New York, it's the Night Racing League. Race 2 of the Sports Car Championship live from Watkins Glen, New York. In a wild season opener at Suzuka, Andre Heinrich became the first driver in league history to serve a drive-through penalty and go on to win the race. He'll lead the points in LMPs as they hit the grid here in race 2. In GTE, Jens Wolters dominated qualifying and the early portion of the race. But while a loose car is fast, it can also come back to bite you. This left the door open for Dan Piazza to turn his KRL debut into a race win. In fact, with the Season 1 champion in between them, it was a double podium for the Wave Italy team. We're here in upstate New York, so get ready for 90 minutes of action around the classic boot. Now here's your host, Marcel. Well, that was fun to do. Thanks to Audionautics and the YouTube Music Library for that track. And welcome everybody to Watkins Glen, New York for race number 2 of the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. We're in Season 2, and we've got a good one for you here today. Coming off a fantastic race at Suzuka, a little too many incidents maybe for everybody's liking, but everybody's promised to behave here as we're doing 90 minutes around the classic boot at Watkins Glen, New York. And you can see we're right back at it again next weekend, the 20th of March. For our first 2-hour race of the season, we'll be at Sebring in Florida, and that's the big tune-up, but it's all preparation for the 12 hours of Sebring, which happens in 2 weeks. So hence, we are going back-to-back here as drivers set up for that race. Here's your point standings. Andre Heinrich, as I heard in the intro, the only driver to win a race having served a drive-through. 38 points and an 11-point lead over his countryman Dennis Rotter. Thomas Brommel rounding out the podium in Suzuka. Newcomer Philip Stritter, who is back here today. Andreas Schwartz and Paul Seeley. Keith Rainey in the grid today, and Dean Ellico as well, as the LMP field starts to fill out. In GTE, again, looking like it's going to be the class to watch, and newcomer Dan Piazza won that incredible race with his teammate Dori Raschuti finishing on the podium in third. However, the Wave Italy team not here today. So an excellent chance for Jennifer McDonald, Kevin Hensel, Kevin Cordy with that top 5 in his debut in the league, ahead of Toby Seninger, who had some issues. Hayden Fowler also well out of position in the points, as is Jens Wolters. So we look for a big shakeup here in the GTE points as the cars are just finishing up their 10-minute warm-up. The 90-minute races only have this short little warm-up, so everybody out there getting their qualifying trim on and testing the level of grip on the circuit, and then we're heading straight out to qualifying here in just a couple of minutes. Air temperature 27 and the track temperature was 40 degrees, but it's a 4 p.m. sim time start, and as the sun, it won't be setting on us, but as it heads lower in the horizon, we expect those track temps to slowly start to come down and the grip levels to come up here. On a circuit that could be hard on the left side tires, but only a 90-minute race, these guys have been very, very good with tire management. And we don't really expect too many pit stops for tires, just fuel. So we'll see how it all runs out as the practice session winds up and we get ready to qualify here for race number 2 in the Sports Car Championship. And just having an issue with a little bit of a graphic there, but qualifying is underway. And there we go. Sorry about that. The LMP's up first for 10 minutes of qualifying. And you see the Unleashed boys out together. Thomas Brommel and Dennis Rotter. After 10 minutes, the GTs will head out for their 10 minutes of qualifying. And as you can tell, our very eager graphic for our next race coming up in Sebring in 1 week's time, not the usual 2-week break, as it's the warm-up race for the 12 hours, which happens 2 weeks from today. So everybody will be working on their setups in preparation for that. But today it's 90 minutes here at Watkins Glen as we watch Thomas Brommel leading the LMPs out. And his teammate maybe getting a little bit of a tow. If they're going to do some teamwork here, we'll see about that. One of the advantages of open qualifying. And on their first hot lap, it was Brommel purple in the first sector, but Heinrich is a little quicker in behind him as we're coming around for our first timed lap. There's Andre in the 32 car as he heads through the tow. But it will be the Unleashed boys across the line first. And we're in the 32s, a 32.568 for Dennis Rotter, so maybe a little bit of that tow helping out. Paul Seeley crosses the line in 134.8, not very competitive. Keith Rainey in the low 34s. Here comes Heinrich, who's been putting in some good sector times. And he moves to the top of the timing sheet, a 32.362. Andreas Schwarz in the 204 will put it outside of row 2 provisionally and immediately replaced by Philip Stritter in the second of the Switch-It cars, a 133.1. There is Philip just coming up through the S's. And it is Dennis Rotter. Currently, everybody setting best sector times. Rotter is purple in the second of 5 sectors on this circuit. The lap time falling off a little bit. The Unleashed cars still together. Good third sector by Heinrich in behind. Brommel and Rotter both improve, but not enough to close or overtake the 32 of Andre Heinrich, who had a good third sector, but has been off his best in 1, 2, and 4. Here comes Andre out of the final corner. And a 32.362, still the best time. He was a half a tenth slower on that second lap. Andreas Schwarz in the 204 moves up to 4th again. So he and Stritter having a good little battle here in qualifying. Stritter just coming through turn 1. His last lap time was a 34.007. The designated point on the circuit as they're coming up out of the boot section now. Turn 10, the left-hander here. If you're at turn 10 or beyond, you may finish your lap after the 10 minutes expire. If you have not reached that corner, you must bring your car into the pits, and the GTEs come out, of course, with 10 minutes remaining in the session. As Thomas Brommel goes quicker, a 32.275, and he will take pole position. Heinrich now second. Rotter and Schwarz in row number 4. Row number 2, rather. Rotter was purple in the first 2 sectors this time. A little bit of a wiggle there by Stritter. Just looking, he was green in his first sector, but not looking like he's going to improve here on this lap. Schwarz to the pits after turning that 33.0. Stritter does improve, a 32.951, so that will move him onto the outside of row number 2. As the GTE cars not yet coming out to pit road, still 2.5 minutes until the GTE session starts. Nice little did you see how identical those slides were by the teammates coming out of the heel there? Rommel's having a good lap here as we watch him come out of the final corner. Green sector 2, purple sector 4, and as he comes across the line, he's going to improve again. A pole time now, 1:32.134. Purple in both sectors 4 and 5, so a great lap for the 4 car, and it looks like the Unleashed cars are off the pace now. Heinrich, the next car to come across the line. Nothing spectacular as far as his previous laps are concerned. Yeah, and that last lap, not an improvement. Schwarz to the garage, and maybe we've seen the end of him. Sealy on a hot lap here. He's currently 7th out of the 8 cars. Ellico in the pits at 33.5. Sealy will make it by the first of the 2 Unleashed cars. Still in the low 133s for the Night Racing Esports team. Keith Rainey on the outside of row 3 with that 133.190. And Sealy is not setting any land speed records on this lap, and sounds like he's off the throttle as well. There will not be time to go around again. Pulling over just in case was Brommel, but Sealy also off the pace, and they will both make it into pit road. As we have action on pit lane now, the GTEs slowly making their way down to the end of pit road. And with 10 minutes remaining in the session, off we go. There's the 99 of Jennifer McDonald, the Series 1 season champion. Following out the white-rimmed Corvette Night Racing Esports car of Kevin Hensel. And he is the first car on track. See the GTEs coming out en masse again. Chris Thompson, the last car. No, we still have cars on pit road. Jens Wolters is on pit road, as is Toby Seninger. And here they come right now. So giving themselves some clean track, and we expect them up pretty close to the front. Jens, of course, dominated qualifying in Japan and had a pretty good first stint going until things kind of slid away from him, the best way to describe it. Looking for a much better result here at Watkins Glen. These cars are good to the end of the session. Of course, the session will end like any official series. There is no turn 10 rule for the GTEs. They go to the end of the session. As Kevin Hensel leads the pack. That's Kevin Cordy in the 7 car. One of the Season 2 Switch-It drivers here in the KRL. Well represented. Of course, they've got the team in LMP. Kevin and Walters racing for Switch-It in the GTE class. And it is Walters. Groninga had the best first sector, Hensel the best second sector, but it is Walters who is on it. Sectors 3, 4, and 5 were quickest in that outlap, and he's on his first timed lap right now. So if those laps are any indication. Just checking where the cars are. Yes, they're all on a hot lap now. And it's spread out. Groninga the best first sector, Sonnen the second. Seninger has just taken the first sector. McDonald the best third sector, as it will be Kevin Hensel, the first car across the line. McDonald right behind him. We'll start to get some times here for the GTE class. And McDonald pips Hensel by 2/10. Cordy slots in behind with a 42.1. Costa 2/10 behind that. As Steve Groninga moves up to third. Sonnen supplants him instantly. There is Mark coming out of turn 1. Nina de Boer in her first race in the 369 Porsche RSR of 44.0. Chris Thompson, 3/10 ahead. He'll be 7. Still waiting for Seninger and Walters, as Walters goes straight to the top. Seninger right behind. And there is Toby in the Ferrari 488. Mentioning that the new BOP affecting that Ferrari a little bit. Says he's having to work a little harder on turn-in, but just 92 hundredths behind Jens Walters for that pole position. There is Jens. Most drivers putting in greens, including Hayden Fowler, green all the way around in the sister C8R. Fowler currently sitting outside of row 2. As it looks like Cordy is off the pace, and that's going to let Mark Sonnen past, just allowing him through and getting set up for a good straight run at the start-finish line. No improvements there by those two. Jennifer McDonald putting in a good sector there. Jens Walters on pole. He is quickest. Sectors 1, 2, and 3. Not so special in 4, but this should be a good lap. And he does improve. 140.551. Seninger improves behind him, but he's still 0.08 of a second back. Hayden Fowler is the car doing special things here, and he puts it in third. Green, all 5 sectors for the 28 car. And a 40.897 puts the Canadian inside row number 2. There's Groninga and Sonnen in the other 2 Corvettes. 5 Corvettes here today as Chris Costa joins the field for the first race of Season 2 for him. We've got the one Ferrari and Seninger. These guys are coming by. Mark improves to a 141.154 as around goes our pole sitter. And he's collected by Seninger. And for all the speculation of the damage being off accidentally in the first race, we have confirmation that it is on for this one, as that's a huge impact. Both cars absolutely smoked. And that is going to affect Fowler. Green sector 2, not so handy the next 2. So that's going to be it for qualifying. You see there is no teleporting here. And that is why. It's strict qualifying scrutiny. You don't get a free crash. You can't teleport back and get a fresh car and straight out 5 seconds later. You have to drive it back to the pits, and that's going to be it for qualifying for these 2. Fowler, whose lap, I don't think he was going to improve anyway, but he was certainly compromised by that incident, has made it to pit road in front of them. So it looks like the top 3 are set. We check out Kevin Hensel here, who was green sector 1. And he's got McDonald right behind him as they will come over the line. No improvement for Hensel. McDonald does improve, but is still 0.08 off row number 2. Kevin Hensel has that 4th position. Hayden Fowler is going to back out onto the track, but he is not going to be able to get around before the clock expires, so I don't believe he'll be able to set another time. Just watch and see if anything's happening here. These laps will count for all the other cars on the circuit. Hensel, McDonald, Costa, Sonnen, and Cordy all out there. Neither is also out there still. We've got a lot of cars who can set one more time. In the meantime, we'll run down the LMP field. Thomas Brommel on pole with Andre Heinrich. Row 2, Dennis Rotter and Philip Stritter. Then it's Andreas Schwarz with Keith Rainey in row number 3. Paul Seeley will line up inside of Dean Ellico in row 4 as we have an 8-car LMP field here today. And we'll watch as the GTE field comes around to complete their final lap. The clock will expire before they hit the line, so this will be it. McDonald is to the pits, actually. So is Hensel. Nobody improving. Back in behind. So that is going to be your GTE field. Jens Wolters and Toby Seninger on the front row. Both are going to be starting with a spare car, I guess, as they destroyed their cars in qualifying. Hayden Fowler and Kevin Hensel, teammates, will line up in row number 2. Jennifer McDonald, season 1 champion, inside row 3 with Mark Sonnen, who had a great qualifying and was very quick in practice, so watch out for the 111 today. Chris Costa and Steve Groninga make our second all-Corvette row in row 4. There is Kevin Cordy in the 7 car, who will line up alongside fellow Porsche Chris Thompson, and Nina de Boer making The KRL debut in car 369 will line up in row number 6. As the Porsche pace car is on track, and we will get to gridding. "90 minutes here at Watkins Glen. There's Andre Heinrich, who will line up second. He had the pole in Suzuka. And there is your pole sitter, the 4 of Thomas Brommel. Just a fantastic lap. We await the rest of the cars. And we are away for the pace lap here. Hello to everybody on YouTube watching us. We have grid slots available if you're a fan and want to get involved here. 6 more races remaining here in this low incident limit sports car championship. Incidents at 8x and then every 6. It's a precise series, and you'll see some of the best driving you'll ever be involved with. I have to say, the GTE class continues to astound me. I can't wait for every race watching them. And what a championship we've got. As they continue to jump back and forth, a new winner every week. And we're guaranteed that here today as the Wave Italy teammates not in Watkins Glen. So a fantastic chance for some of the drivers to overtake them in the points. And a bit of a reprieve for those who had some issues last race. Here's the GTE field coming around as well. And it is those drivers who had issues in Suzuka right up at the front row. Jens Wolters and Toby Seninger a little out of position on the points table. And we can have a good day here and rectify that. It is early enough in the season. This series is so close. There's plenty of time for them to make up for one bad one. As heading down into the boot is the LMP field. We're running a 15-second gap here. We had to shorten that up for Suzuka because of the location of the chicane. With some of the incidents there at turn 1, the LMPs did get involved with the GTEs in the first lap. No contact, but there were LMPs coming through. We run that 15-second gap just so that if there is any issue at the front of the field, it should be cleaned up in time for the GTEs to come through. As we're now coming up out of the boot, and we'll get ready to go racing for 90 minutes here at Watkins Glen. Porsche pace car makes its hard right, and the field is under control of Thomas Brommel. And we're away, green flag. 3 wide in behind. Stritter's going to pull back in, a touch, and Brommel's hit. Brommel hard into the barrier. The rest of the LMP's through clean. The GTE's coming around. And Jens Wolters leads Toby Seninger into turn number 1. And it is Kevin Hensel out of position. Outside of row number 2, Kevin Hensel has dropped to the back. And we'll see if we can find out what happened there. As it is Hayden Fowler on the tail of Toby Seninger. Seninger has a look on the inside. It's a bit of a block. Fowler goes to the outside. And he's got his nose ahead. Toby with the line. And now at the inside as they head down the chute, Fowler should be able to get his nose ahead. Can he get the tail end out? Seninger keeps it alongside. And now he'll have the inside for the toe. And the Ferrari pushes back up. Jen McDonald in behind with a great view of all this. On board the BMW, as coming around to complete lap number 1 is Dennis Rotter. He leads Philip Stritter now. And there's Andre Heinrich, who's dropped to 4th place from his front row position. Keith Rainey making up spots. He's in 3rd, but he's got the 32 of Heinrich in the tow. As the GTEs come across the line, Wolters, Seninger, Fowler, and Seeley in behind. On the outside of Schwarz, they're side by side. Rainey and Heinrich into the toe. And the same line we just saw with Seninger there, and Heinrich not able to get by. You can see Schwarz still ahead of Seeley in behind. Fowler and Seninger again battling. As we've got action all over the place. The 94 of Kevin Hensel making his way back up through the field, and we'll find out what was going on there. There is Philip Stritter up in 2nd. Has a bit of a lead now. Here comes Heinrich. With the toe on Rainey. Rainey goes defensive this time. So they will have the opposite side of the track as they had the last time they were around. Heinrich holds it in there, clips the curb, and he's got the inside for the chute. And it looks like the 32 is ahead in behind. Andreas Schwarz looking like he'll have some of that, and he is having a peek. What's going on in GTE as they're coming up now for the long back straight. A little bit spread out this time. Maybe 2 laps of hard on it, and now they're going to settle in. Wolters getting away with all the infighting here for 2nd place. Chris Costa making a move there, and he's past Steve Groninga. Brommel in the pits. That car in need of repairs. And we'll get a look at what happened there at the start. Just a little too much action going on right now to jump away. This battle for 2nd place. Everybody together in the GTEs. let's have a look at what happened at the start of this race. Bramo makes a move out to the outside. You can see he got lifted, so he was clearly hit by Heinrich in the back. Lots of damage on that 4 car. So get a look from overhead to see Stritter got a great start and actually thought about going to the outside, but Heinrich very good in phase 2, so he pulls back in and definitely contact in the 42 car with the 32 on board now. With the 42 and straight in. And that pushes the 32 into the back of the 4 car. So very unfortunate for Thomas Bramo. There's the GTE start, and you can see Hensel around coming up out of turn 9. Everybody else nice and clean. The GTEs are generally super clean. We haven't seen contact on a race start in them in ages. And here they come up the hill. You can see Hensel on the inside of row 2. The green flag's going to come out just about now, and it's just a little too much welly. And around goes the back end. As we rejoin this battle for second place in GTE. Dennis Rotter, the fastest car on circuit, at 33.181 that last time around. They stretch this out to a 2-second lead over Stritter. Heinrich is right there, as he has now cleared Keith Rainey and set his sights back on the top 2 position where he started this race. Doesn't look like any worse for wear, the front of that 42, or really the front or the rear of the 32. We kind of got sandwiched there in that. But doesn't look like very much damage. They, of course, will have some incident points they'll have to manage for the rest of this race. As in the background, Paul Seeley is past the 204 of Andreas Schwarz. These two have been having historic first stints for as long as I can remember. And looking like they're going to have another one today. Let's hope it goes all the way to the end of the race this time. And we're right on the tail of Keith Rainey as well. So this shaping up to be a fantastic 4-car battle. Ellico sliding back just a touch. And if anything happens, he's right in there. I'm sure he's still getting some tow, so hopefully he can close that up and we'll make this a 4-car battle. Seeley now starting to put some pressure up on the 6 of Keith Rainey. There's your race leader in LMP, Dennis Rotter. Now with a 3.5-second gap. This is going to turn into a battle here. We've got 2 shaping up as Heinrich is now back with the 42 car. And behind them, you see them just heading up over the hill. And Ellico is closing this gap up. Wide goes Schwarz a little bit. So we got 3 Night Racing Esports cars in this pack. And to be fair, it's really 4 because Andre is a Night Racing endurance driver as well. He just runs the different livery for this series. The GTE settled in now. It's a 2.5-second lead for Volters and Seninger, Fowler, McDonald all together here, and right in behind, there's Mark Sonnen, who has been strong all week. And he now leads Costa by 1.5 seconds. He's certainly got the tail end of this group here, so we could see a 4-car battle for second place here in GTE as well. Seninger off. Coming out of the boot, Toby Seninger. And that's going to promote Hayden Fowler to second place. And Toby wide clips the grass with his right side. He also gets a little bit of that inside barrier. That's where Kevin Hensel went off. So bad luck there for Toby, and he has dropped all the way to 9th place. Doesn't come to pit road, so perhaps not damaged enough, or he's still trying to assess it. You'll see what that straight line speed is on the front stretch. The battle for second is on in earnest as Heinrich now has the toe of his teammate. Looks to the outside. In behind, it's the same situation for Schwarz and Seeley. Stritter's got the inside covered, but we've seen cars go through the next 3 corners side by side. Heinrich looks to back it off. You can see also GTE's up there. In behind, Seeley maintains his advantage over Schwarz. Another look on the inside. Keith Rainey loving this in his mirror, hoping to give him a little bit of a gap. As the LMP start to work traffic, Nina DeBurr over. That's Chris Thompson in behind. And Stritter and Heinrich through, catching a little bit of curve there. And a nice, beautiful slide by the 42. And Heinrich will be through there. The gap up to 6 seconds now for Dennis Rotter. His teammate in the pits, getting repaired from that turn 1 incident. As the LMPs complete lap number 8. And Thompson with a little bit of a look. Why? Oh, that catches out Seeley, and Schwarz is going to go through. Thompson pulled over to the right. Seeley got put on his off foot there, and it's going to cost him a position to the 204. In behind, Rainey comes through now. Thompson still on the back of DeBurr, hoping to get that 10th place. Everybody through clean without any contact, but Andreas Schwarz in the 204 has moved up into 5th place. Here's your race leader now coming by Seninger, who's caught back up to the tail end of Kevin Cordy. So 2 GTEs out of position there from their starting positions, trying to work their way back through the field. Rotter will get the inside and get past the Corvette. As we approach the 15-minute mark here. Stritter and Schwarz coming in right on the toe, and Seninger here's going to move for 8th. He's going to have to wait as Stritter's coming through. Cordy pulls it off to the left. 3 wide. The LMP is through. Seninger makes the pass on the entrance to the carousel. And that opens up that gap. I was just waiting to see how Heinrich slotted in there as he goes by Seninger. spectacular driving in through there. And he'll clear the 94 of Hensel and get back on it. Side by side, Andreas Schwarz using the traffic to make a move on Rainey, and it's going to play. He uses the 7 car as a pick. So Andreas Schwarz up to 4th place. Great stuff. That puts Seeley back close as he comes by the Porsche. Hensel now. Seeley now right on the back. And they're going to go 3 wide again. Is that Seninger on the inside? Second time he's been 3 wide. Seeley using the pick this time as he's got Hensel on the outside, and the 72 will move to 5th place. Keith Rainey getting pushed out of the way twice in the last circuit. Schwarz and Seeley by. As we have a look, Seninger just went 3 wide again. You can see Rainey pulled up wide to get the block on. Seeley took the middle, and that gave him a hit on the next car in line, which was the 94. Fantastic stuff. As back coming out of the boot section, Rainey takes a lunge there out of turn 9, thinks better of it. Seeley maintains that position. Meanwhile, back closer to the front, Heinrich is still on the tail of his teammate. Stritter again protecting that inside line, and he'll maintain 2nd place through the carousel. Heinrich trying to get a run on the outside to get the inside at the chute, but Stritter's got, a little wiggle there though. I was going to say Stritter's got him covered there, but that wiggle is going to give Heinrich a chance. They've now got McDonald in front. Heinrich stuffs it in on the outside, and he's going to take that position. 3 wide up the hill, but Heinrich's got the 32 in front. And he's back to his qualifying position. Next in line, the 2nd place GTE car, there is Hayden Fowler. So after all that, Andreas Heinrich, it takes 11 laps to get back to the qualifying position. Unfortunately for him, it's a 10.5 second gap up to Dennis Rotter, who is already through the S's. And you see Heinrich there just in the background coming through first turn. Fantastic action early here. Holy moly. Seeley still on the back end of Rainey. Wait a minute. Other way around. That is Ellico on the back of Rainey. I feel like we've got to do a full rundown. There's been so much going on here, but we're going to watch this battle, all the esports cars together. Seely by, Rainey by. And here comes Ellico on the second place GTE car of Hayden Fowler. That has to be the most action-packed 20 minutes we've started a race with since this league joined iRacing. Tours by, Seely giving the race leader Jens Wolters a little flash as he goes through. Jens pretty much having it his own way again. We saw this at Suzuka. But I'm sure he's learned from that. We're not going to see a repeat, because that car really got loose on him near the end of the first stint. But Jens driving perfectly here today from pole. He's got a 4.5 second lead over Hayden Fowler. He's going to have to deal now with the LMP field coming through. He's almost through, actually. That is Ellico, the final car he'll have to deal with. So a 4.5 second lead now that things have sort of settled out. Battle's close all over. Heinrich and Stritter are still close. A little more than a second there. Schwarz and Seely still close. And Groningen and Senninger still close in the GTEs. There they are. This the battle for 6th place. Seely sets his fast lap of the race. We saw a green flash there, and it's a 33.9. Trying to make an impression on the 204. Those cars have all swapped back and forth. Senninger looking like he's going to make a move here for 6th. Down into turn 1 on the brakes, and he'll make that pass. Chris Costa's next on the recovery drive for the 488. And I get to catch my breath. I don't know if you heard me take a swig of water there. Groningen has a little look back, making sure he's got those mirrors populated in the Ferrari, but slots back in for the carousel. Groningen has also looked very good in practice for this race and having a good run here, currently in 7th place. GTE is so tight. And we're going to have an incredibly tight points championship if it holds up this way. Of course, Wolters only scoring a single point, finishing outside the top 10 in Suzuka, so he really needs the 38 to get himself back into the running here today. Senninger in a little better shape, having a 6th place in Suzuka, but he needs to have a good one here today. And that little spin, although it didn't damage the car, it doesn't look like. He's trying to get himself back up. Putting a little bit of space between he and the Corvette. Hensel, the next car in behind there, also trying to recover from that green light incident. And not far behind there, Kevin Cordy in the 7, so a good group of GTEs here all together. plenty of room for you to join the best sports car grid on iRacing. And that doesn't mean the fastest grid. We have fast drivers here, but we have the cleanest drivers here. And even if things happen, I mean, we did have a turn 1 here today. Stuff happens on a racetrack, but everybody here is responsible for their actions and low incident limits. So you have to drive like you're in a real car, and the racing, as you can see, is spectacular. Come and join us, LMP Unlimited iRacing iRating range. It's kind of the quote-unquote pro division, although it's not really. We do have a 3K iRating cap for the GTE cars to try and keep it competitive. And it works a treat, as you can see. Plenty of grid spots available. Give me a PM on iRacing. If you like the premise, low incident in sports car racing, there's a spot for you here in Season 2. 6 races still remain, including all the classics: Daytona, Sebring next week, Le Mans. Here is your race leader, the 011 of Dennis Rotter. We haven't seen much of Dennis with all the action in behind. Having himself a great run here. Dennis with a 2nd place in Suzuka, looking to put, it's a little early to put a stranglehold on anything, but looking to put his stamp on this championship. Handed a bit of a gift when his teammate was not there. There is Rommel. He's out of the pits. He was in there for 26 minutes. So good on Thomas getting back out. Not sure how the car is handling. It was a very hard hit that he took. And we see Chris Thompson in the pits as well. We'll see what went on there. Just pushes wide, going down into the heel. And that's going to be some left side damage on that Porsche. And here comes the race leader through. Oh. Good on Chris, tries to get out of the way but causes himself even more trouble. So that car in the pits now getting done. Seninger has caught Costa as we come back live. Gets it to the inside. Good straight line speed on that Corvette. Oh. And Seninger will take the top 5 position. Bit of a gap now for Toby. The next car in line is Mark Sonnen, and Mark is having a day here. He's been at the top of the timesheets all week in practice. And it is almost a 10-second gap from 4th to 5th. So Toby's going to have to do something special here if he wants to make an imprint on the 111 car. Seeley now dropping back. Saw a glimpse of the 72 there. Andreas Schwarz starting to pull away and put his stamp on 4th place. And Dean Ellico has made it to the pits. What has gone on with the 429? Oh, he clips the grass there. And a bit of a hard hit. That on the exit of toe. And And so we have a second LMP car into pit road. Kevin Hensel now on the back of Steve Groninga. You see Costa just in front. This is a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. As we cross the 30-minute mark here at Watkins Glen, and we will start to see LMPs getting ready for pit stops. Dean Ellico drops down the timing sheets as he's getting repairs from that spin. And here comes a move. Down into carousel, Hensel on the inside, and he will take that position. Kevin Hensel up to 7th place. And just in behind them comes the LMP race leader on his 21st lap. So we should be getting very close. I think they can do 23 laps. 23, 24 might be the outside for the LMPs. As Chris Thompson comes back out from pit road after getting damage repaired there. 7 minutes and 23 seconds stopped on pit road for the 66 car, but back in the wars. And peeling off. Oh, it's spinning! Dennis Rotter coming in early. Looks like he locked the rears up. And he definitely tagged that inside pit wall. I don't see too much damage, but that's not how you want to do your pit stop. Andre Heinrich will momentarily take the lead of the race. He's got a 7-second gap now on Philip Stritter, so that has really opened up. As he comes through that meat of the GTE order we were just watching, Kevin Hensel now closing in on Chris Costa. Dennis Rotter escapes from pit road. I just want to see. 30 seconds stopped, so no repairs for damage. That's a pretty standard stop for fuel. Hensel has made it, don't count your chickens, side by side with Costa, who's on the inside now of turn 9. Hensel with a better drive. Looks like he's going to take that position. So the German up to the top 6 now. He will lead that battle. Back onto the front straight. Groninga again showing his nose there. We've got an LMP coming through here. Who's that? That looks like Stritter. Yes, it is Philip Stritter, the second place car. Holds it to the inside. That was talked about at the drivers' meeting, and very well done. If an LMP was to come up on the cars there, the GTEs kind of agreed that they would keep to that right side and allow the LMPs, the GTEs would be in the inside anyway, for that final exit to the S's. So the LMPs were going to show their car to the left and stay to the left to make that pass, and that was very well done by all three as Costa spins going into the... And Schwartz collects him. Big impact for the 204. He's up and running, but that's a blind corner coming through the chute. Costa just lost the back end. Roniga got by. It was very, very close. But I believe Roniga got by unscathed. Not so lucky Andreas Schwartz, as that car looks heavily damaged. He's protecting the inside and just loses the back end, and coming through the smoke and around the blind corner, you would have seen the yellow flags, but oh boy, a big hit for the 204. Costa stays out, but the 204 of Andreas Schwartz in the pits. I imagine that steering wheel not too straight with the damage where it is on the car. Could have been, I wish I'd watched a little closer now, that could have been a straight side impact. Maybe there's no suspension damage for Chris. Let's see if we can get a look. Not so much worse for wear. You can never tell what's damaged underneath though, so we'll watch the lap times for the 76 car. But after a fantastic first stint again, Schwartz, Seeley, Rainey, and Ellico all together, 2 of the 4 have now had issues. And with the Rotter pit stop, that promotes Seeley up to 3rd, Rainey to 4th, but those cars will be heading to pit road shortly, as will the rest of the LMP field. And here comes the 32 now. And Stritter in behind him, so both the race leaders come in. Next in line is Seeley, and he peels off as well. Not so for Kevin, that is Kevin Hensel, not so for Keith Rainey. And so the American going to get himself some TV time here, as Keith Rainey in the 6 will lead the 90 minutes at the Glen, at least for a lap. Still playing hurtly here, having to ice his wrist after every session, but he's been at most of them. And going to get a good showing and some great racing today for the American. And he will lead while the others are in pit road. Up on the jacks, that's tires for Andre Heinrich, and Stritter also takes tires. That's Dean Ellico coming out of the pits. Seeley is away with fuel only, and he's going to leapfrog both Heinrich and Stritter. We also saw a glimpse of the 4 car back in the pits. Believe Brommel has retired, went back out after a lengthy repair, and there's just damage under there that can't be done. Remember what we talked about at the drivers' meeting there, Andre? GTE stays right, he stays left, and by we go. So Andre out of the pits. And I imagine, yes, we're seeing the 6 car now come down pit road. So Dennis Rotter will regain. There is Rainey at his pit box. You can see Schwartz still stopped there. So Dennis Rotter will regain the race lead. There he goes now. As we cycle through and prepare ourselves for the first round of GTE. Actually, it'll be 1 round of GTE stops here today in a 90-minute race. Andre Heinrich will be second, and there is Philip Stritter. Heinrich will be third, Stritter fourth, as Seeley, of course, is now in second place. So the Canadian, who started in seventh, is now in second after both Heinrich and Stritter, both switching cars, taking tires. We talked about tire wear here. It's very hot. The session time started at, this is a battle for third, by the way. Rainey out of the pits, also fuel only, so he has come out in front of Heinrich as well. And boy, that's a Christmas present for the 72. As he's got 4 seconds on this battle, and the longer Rainey can keep Heinrich back there, the longer he'll not have to worry about him. So just going over the top of the hill, you see the 72 car. Heinrich with a good run as they head into the heel. Nice safe braking. Rainey does keep it in there. And this should be an easy corner to keep it in front. It is. Good job by Keith Rainey. Andre Heinrich not taking chances, not missing that braking point or sliding in. So a good fight here. Rotter coming back by Kevin Cordy. Really haven't seen much of the front of the GT field. We're still watching him. It's a 5-second lead now for Jens Wolters over Fowler. McDonald, 2.5 back, is Heinrich. We just catch a glimpse at the end of that move. Heinrich by Rainey on the front straightaway. So he's back in third, and we've already seen him come through the field in the first stint when he got pushed down to fourth place after that turn 1 incident. So Canadian beware. Here comes the 32 of Andre Heinrich. Rainey gets a bit of a toe into the carousel. Not quite enough closing speed to get the job done, and he had to wiggle it there. So Rotter now, he also took just fuel, and curious about the timing of it. It was just after the 1/3 mark, so I wonder if Dennis is running on lighter fuel for this race, just splitting it into thirds. A little less weight, maybe a little less tire wear, and shorter stints. But now with a 25-second lead, this is his race to dictate. He can play the gaps and manage the race from the front. It'll be interesting to see how this tire strategy works, because looking at the pit times, 33.6 for Seeley, 34.0 for Rainey. It was a 30.1, but if Rotter's but if he is doing the race in thirds, then his stops are going to be slightly shorter. Seeley and Rainey took full fuel, so they will have a splash and go rather than a full 30-second stop, which we assume Rotter will have to do. So we'll see how this tire strategy works for the Switch It boys. For Heinrich, he's already coming up on the tail of Seeley. It's now a 1-second gap. You should be getting a view of that. So it looks like it's going to work out for him. He'll have much fresher tires, but how is he going to close down that 25 seconds to the 011 car? We're seeing pit stops now for the GTEs. Lots of them in the pits. Hensel, Sonnen, Groninger, Korda, Costa, all on pit road. And it is Sonnen coming out first. Fowler, Seninger, and McDonald and Volter still out. Groninger out of the pits in 7th. And we'll give you a field rundown here as soon as everything is sorted out. Meanwhile, back in LMP, Heinrich is on the tail of Seeley. And I don't imagine it's going to be too long until this gets sorted. And after sort of driving down the middle of the track in the previous corners, he's not putting up a big defense there. Seeley is now in front of that 4-car battle he was involved with at the start of the race. Heinrich qualified a second quicker than he did, has fresher tires, so not really a smart idea to put up a huge defense with 45 minutes left in the race. Seeley is going to take his 4-second lead over Keith Rainey and see if he can maintain that. It's 3rd place. Meanwhile, back in behind, here is Stritter, who has caught the back of Keith Rainey in the 6 car. That's really going to be an interesting car for Seeley. With Stritter another 5 seconds down the road from Heinrich. 2 minutes a long time. Stritter's in that front group of LMPs. A great tow here as they come by the leader in GTE. But and a bit of a push by Rainey. And Stritter will make that move in the carousel. Good stuff there, and especially having to deal with the GTE leader and not affect that race. Volter's down on the inside. And let's just talk about that, because now as the GTEs have made their stops, Hayden Fowler has got himself on the tail of the 24 car. And I just want to check there. 26.8 stopped for Hayden Fowler. 29.4 for Jens Wolters. So there's where the gap came down. 3.3 seconds less time on pit road for Hayden Fowler, and that has turned this into a race for the lead. As Stritter is now released. No problems there. You can go very wide. Off track is if you don't get back to the tarmac. What's going on in behind there? Thompson and Rainey have been together all day, and that is Rainey trying to shoot the gap. Thinking a little better of that, he'll make the move now into the carousel. Shane was in the pits for a few laps there. Chris Thompson, he's 4 laps down, but looks like he's got a very, very close battle here for the remainder of the season with the 369 car. They've been together all day long. You can see the damage on the rear wing and on the left side of that 66 Porsche, but keeping it in there. Stritter now, as he came across the line that time, is 3.5 seconds up to the Canadian. And GTE. Fowler maintaining that gap as they're coming through the tail end of the GTE field. And this is the closest battle on the racetrack. And it's for the lead. And GTE, DeBurr wide there coming out of the chute. Already some issues there. But keeps it under control. A little worse for wear on the right side. That's just going to give us matching collisions. Right side on DeBurr and left side on Thompson. But the battle for the lead unaffected as Fowler continues to track the 24 of Wolters. Said we'd give you a field rundown, and let's do it. Up front in LMP, the 011 of Dennis Rotter leads this race. He qualified on the second row in third place, but with the shenanigans entering turn one, had the inside line to stay clean and has led from the exit of turn one to this point. It was a large lead. He had a trouble entering pit road, but doesn't look any the worse for wear. And he has a 21-second lead over the 32 of Andre Heinrich. Heinrich qualified second, but dropped to fourth place after he was hit from behind in turn one, then sliding into the back of the pole sitter, Thomas Brummel, who crashed. Heinrich has fought his way back to second place and has a 21-second margin to try and pull back in the next 37 minutes. In third place, the 7th place qualifier of Paul Seeley. He's kept his nose clean and has come out at the front of a 4-car battle in that second group of LMP cars. No tires for Seeley on the pit stop, and that has put him in front of the 42 of Philip Stritter. Stritter also involved in that turn one incident and took tires on his first pit stop. With fresh tires and pace already, he should make easy work of the 72 when he gets there and put himself back on the podium. Running in fifth is the 6 car of Keith Rainey. Rainey momentarily led this race as he got the best fuel mileage in the first stint. After coming to pit road, he has dropped back to 5th place. Running 6th on the track is our GTE leader, the 24 of Jens Wolters. Another pole and another dominant first stint for the 24. Jens had trouble converting in Suzuka as he dropped all the way down to a 14th place finish. He's got the lead here and is looking good. Someone who'd like to change that is the 28 of Hayden Fowler. Hayden had a spectacular pit stop and has looked very good on what is commonly known as his favorite track after an amazing battle at the beginning of the race with Toby Seninger and Jennifer McDonald. Hayden has come out front and now dogs the leader here with 35 minutes to go. In third place, it's the BMW M8 of Jennifer McDonald. Jennifer is 5.5 seconds behind the battle for the lead. Looking good for another podium here. In fourth place is the 111 of Mark Sonnen. Looking as racy as we've seen him in the white Corvette. Mark is 15.7 seconds off the lead and is running 2 seconds ahead of Toby Seninger. Toby on another recovery drive here as he had that little spin coming up through turn 9 as the cars exited the boot. Dropped all the way down out of the top 10, but has fought his way back after the stops to 5th place. He's looking to catch Sonnen and hopefully turn that into a 4th. Crossing the line, completing his 32nd lap is the 94 of Kevin Hensel. Kevin qualified 4th, but when the green lights came on, just a little extra throttle and spun the car coming out of turn 9. Kevin has also recovered back to 6th place as he was at the back of the field when the cars crossed the start-finish line for the first time. Behind him is the 59 of Steve Groninga. Groninga having another spectacular race and was involved in that 3-way battle with all those cars, including the 7 of Kevin Cordy. Kevin finished in the top 5 in his Night Racing League debut and is currently running 8th here today. Behind him, the 76 of Chris Costa. Costa making his first appearance in Season 2 and is having a very good run until at this very corner while trying to defend against Steve Groninga. Just put a little extra weight on the front of the car. He had the inside line, so a little tighter turn in. He lost the back end of the car and was collected by the 204 of Andreas Schwarz. Schwarz had massive damage to the right front of the car. It doesn't look like Chris's car is too worse for wear, but he definitely lost track position and is sitting 6 seconds behind the 7 car of Kevin Cordy. Also, in the first race of the year and in the Night Racing League, Nina de Boer in the 369 Porsche 919. 911 RSR, if you like. And Nina having a good debut. Had a little bit of a rush with the barriers there with a battle coming through. So the car's got a little bit of a wrinkle on it, but good consistent lap times and has been having a great battle with Chris Thompson. Unfortunately for Chris, this battle has been raging with him 4 laps behind. You can see the damage on the left side. Chris had to go into the pits to get that fixed. We have a battle live here as Stritter has caught and now passed the 72 of Paul Seeley, and that puts the Switch-It cars both on the podium with 31 minutes left. So you could say the front group of cars are once again the front group, and that second group of cars about 3/4 of a second back are now the second group again. Back on the track is the 204 of Andre Schwarz. So hopefully he's got that damage fixed. Let's see here. Schwarz was in the pit for 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So quite a lot of damage there, and especially ruining what was a great race. And again, we are robbed of seeing that battle with Seeley and Lane go all the way through the race distance. Sonnen now starting to come under a little bit of pressure. You see Seninger has caught the Corvette. We're going to have a battle here for 4th place. Seninger, of course, qualified second. You know he's got the machine under him, and it wasn't much of a touch on that Armco when he had that little lazy spin out of turn 9. His lap times look absolutely fine at 42.2 the last time around. Schwarz on the inside of Fowler there in the last corner. Fowler comes back for a bit of a tow, but that's going to temporarily open up that gap. It's now 1 second between our GTE leaders. Very, very wide. And a clip of that grass. I wonder if he got a 1X for that. But Volter's trying to maintain as much momentum as he could while letting the LMP car by. Sonnen will get the tow from De Boer, and that's probably going to be enough to keep Senninger at bay for another lap. We're into the final half hour here at Watkins Glen. It has been a real ding-dong here today. Hope you've enjoyed all the action. That's Heinrich coming through on the outside of the carousel. And that gap has come down 11 seconds. And we hear there's been a problem for the race leader out on track. So before Senninger closes this gap right up, let's have a look and see what we missed. Coming by Senninger, holy moly, the front end takes another hit. Roder trying to get by on the inside. We saw the left side tires collect that curbing, and around he went, and there was definitely contact with that barrier. And the 25-second gap is now an 11-second gap, and we know Heinrich has fresher tires and is currently the quickest car on circuit, a 32.8 that time around as opposed to a 33.2 for Roder. So that would have been the first lap after that spin for Dennis, but oh, a 33.2, he just went by. So Roder looks like he survived another one. That's the second time he's put that nose into an Armco barrier here today. As our two race leaders are together heading into the chute. So not an event-filled day like you could say Volter's there behind him is having, but he's got the lead, and he's still got 10 seconds. You see Senninger has made that pass as we jump back around. The Ferrari now up to 4th place. Mark Sonnen in 5th. We'll see if Mark can hold on to him here. He's certainly had the pace all week. It doesn't help that the LMPs are in between him at the moment, but you deal with traffic. That's part of multi-class racing. As expected, Seeley not having the pace to even stay in the tow there at the 42. He's got a 9-second gap over the 6 car of Keith Rainey. And if he can convert a 7th place qualifying into a 4th place finish, I think he would have taken that at the beginning of the day. As it comes through turn 10, past the 111, who really has had an unfortunate lap for Mark there, trying to hold on to the back of the 488, but it's just been LMP after LMP coming through, and they've really split them apart now. Seeley gets by the Ferrari in turn 1, and they'll be allowed to resume. Although it's a full 1.5 second gap now between Senninger and Sonnen. We're back to the battle for the lead in GTE. They're having to deal with that LMP field coming through, but the gap, it's widened a little bit, but still under 2 seconds. Having to deal with Heinrich at one of the worst parts of the circuit, just backing out and getting the corner by himself, so It's one thing you notice, the little subtleties, we've seen it in a few other corners as well, where Wolters just positions his car to lose the least amount of time, going wide at turn 1 there to maintain momentum, giving the entire inside to the cars to go by. There, just breathing early so that he can have a full exit speed out of turn 9. Very, very good in traffic. So important at this type of racing. Rainey thinking better of a lunge there. De Boer returns the favor and gets out of the way. And Rainey comes through to complete lap number 41. We have 24 minutes to go here at Watkins Glen. Kevin Hensel, shout out to him, up to 6th place here. Not much can happen, I think, in front unless there's an issue with somebody. But he's done well to get himself back up after qualifying 4th and having a bit of an issue on lap 1. On the tires, he's certainly done well to get that car back up to just outside the top 5. Philip Stritter coming in through that battle now for the GTE lead. It's 11 seconds up to Heinrich. He was the quickest car on circuit last time around. Although Heinrich has just blown that lap away. A 33 dead for the 32 car, 32 dead rather. By far the quickest lap. He had a little bit of empty track. To be fair, so did Rotter, so maybe those fresh tires coming into play. He's got the gap under 10 seconds. Vasily up the left side through the S's past Jennifer McDonald. There is Andre. It's been a good race for the young German. He had got a little out of position, but he's been very solid, kept it clean, and he's sort of taken advantage of Rotter's mistakes. I was just thinking there. I paused momentarily. I was just trying to do the math in my head. He'd certainly be in front had he not taken tires. So, I mean, you have to know they have to know what their tire wear is. If you can't make it, you can't make it. The other cars did not take tires, so we'll see if that is a deciding factor here. It's certainly a deciding factor on the lap times. You can see Rotter a 33.3 that time around. It was a 32.5 for Heinrich. He's got 20 minutes. I mean, if he's going to pull close to a second a lap, how many laps do they have to go here? 20 minutes, 1.5 minute laps. So it's going to be 13, 14 laps. And at a second a lap, or even 8/10 of a second a lap, it's possible that he could get that car up to the lead. So we'll just have to watch that. Two different race strategies. It's always the case in LMP. We've got 3 different race strategies going here in LMP today. Rotter with no tires, turning the race into even stints, basically into thirds. You've got Heinrich and Stritter who are going for tires. And then you've got the rest of the pack who are doing full fill and a splash and go with no tires. So we'll see which of the 3 strategies plays out here. That gap is definitely closing down, and we'll watch it very closely. Fowler has dropped to 2.6 seconds behind Wolters in GTE. We'll get back to that if anything happens. As Heinrich sets another fast lap of the field, 32.599 that time around, so it was half a second gained on lap 44. Still going to see fast laps of the race. A 32.060 is the fast lap of the race, and that is held by the 32 car of Andre Heinrich. We just saw that lap, I believe, the 32 dead. And looks like Philip Strittard's the next quickest. 32.289 for Philip. So the Switch It boys, very, very quick. Are they being out-strategized? We'll find out from Dennis Ryder. It's a real shame that Brommel is not here as well. It would have been a 4-car scrap up front. And the Stewart's ruling has come in on that. Not much of a surprise. The car initiating contact will get a penalty, so that will be the 42 car. And not a biggie. You have to have 2 penalties before you get a qualifying ban. And if there's more contact after a qualifying ban, then the real penalties come into play. But it's really a slap on the wrist for a first offense. And we haven't had a qualifying ban since this racing series was. We see cars around, and Roder has lost the lead. Heinrich is in the lead. Roder's in the pits, that's why. Oh, scared myself. What did we see there spinning? Oh, it was a blue car. Deep breath, Marcel. Dennis Roder in the pits for his second scheduled stop. And out on track, coming out of the toe. And that is a that is a replay of his teammate's spin. Although he hit the front end of that car. That's Keith Randy spinning. And Ellico kind of went flat side on the left side of his car, but I wonder if that hand is starting to come into play. Rainey won't lose a position. Of course, Schwartz and Ellico both having long pit stops for damage. We'll see if the 6 car is affected there as well. Your new race leader in LMP momentarily. We're going to see these pit stops play out. Right there is the 32 car. Back on circuit, no tires is Dennis Roder, 17.3 seconds. So he has turned this race pretty much into thirds. He's gone a little bit longer this time. Of course, he would have started with the full 75 liters. But he's good to go here. And we'll see how long the pit stops are for Heinrich and Stritter. Heinrich puts in, the lap times are still coming down a little bit, but he's still the quickest car on circuit. You can see the blue number on his lap time. That means he's the fastest car on the circuit. And his lap time has been blue for the last 15 minutes. And they have all been in the 132s. So you're going to find out here very, very shortly how whose pit strategy is working out. Heinrich coming up to a little bit of traffic. Can't believe how close these 2 Porsches are. I have not seen one of them on screen without the other one all day. So I can't wait to see these guys at Sebring, and without the 4 laps of damage repair, and we can have a great battle between the 2 Porsches for the rest of the year. That would be awesome. Battles all the way up and down the field. As you can see in LMP, we've got kind of 2 groups of cars. GTE has 3 groups of cars, and they're always racing against each other. So fantastic series and fantastic race here today. It's been I've been hard pressed to keep everything on screen. For the first time in a long time, Andre Heinrich is not the fastest car on track. So a 33.8. Just looking at him, he came through that 3-car group of GTEs, that's why. So Stritter gets the fast lap that time around, but he's going to be coming through them in the next lap. As Groningen has made his way through those two. There is one lap behind the 59 car of Groningen and Cordy. Here's Dennis Rotter, currently running in 4th. There's your race leader in GTE. And Jens is now pulled out to a 3-second gap over Fowler. 4 seconds additionally back to McDonald. Senager is 4th, but he's not going to catch the top 3 unless there's something very significant happens. As into the pits comes the 32 car, the splash and goes are happening. And Heinrich is the first to come through. Stritter pitted with him last time. He will not this time, so Philip Stritter will take the lead momentarily. Seeley's coming out of the last corner and does head to pit road. So, and there is Rotter. You see him going by right now. And he passes Heinrich, who lights them up coming out of pit road, but he's going to need those fresher tires. And we'll check out what that gap is. It's under 6 seconds, so it's still coming down. Heinrich stopped for 14.9 as opposed to Rotter's 17.3. And it was almost a full 3 seconds less time on pit road for the splash and go plus the fresher tires. Rainey has gone by. Okay, that explains that. Seeley in the pits. He's out, coming out with the GTE race leader. Rainey, the only car to have to do his splash and go now in LMP of the lead lap cars. As well as this car, actually. We're going to see Stritter come to pit road here, I would think. He does. And that 15-second gap to Dennis Rotter, I believe, is not enough. It is Heinrich's gap to Rotter that's the important one. As we're going to approach this final 10 minutes. And it does look like the gap is going to be closed up. Rotter heads into turn 1, having regained the lead. Heinrich retakes second. It is less than 5 seconds. Stritter in the pits will emerge in plenty of time to keep third place. The 6th on the end of my tongue is Keith Rainey, who again does not come down pit road. Dennis Rotter heads up the hill. Between 5 and 6 seconds, we see Heinrich has cleared the traffic behind them. Steve Groningen, the next car in line, moves over to the right. Gives the overall race leader plenty of room. Oh, but a spin anyway! On the inside! Rotter is around. There goes Heinrich. Dennis Rotter has gone around for the 3rd time today, and Andre Heinrich has the lead. Is it the old tires? He had plenty of room. Groningen gave him the racing line, but it just spun the rear end around. Happy Christmas, Andre Heinrich, the new race leader at LMP, and now he has a 5-second gap to Dennis Rotter in behind. Seeley has passed Rainey, who has finally made it to pit road. So the 72 car back into fourth place. As what? Heinrich is off now. He was gifted the lead and he's pushed off in the chute and collected the barrier. Here comes Dennis Rotter. How badly damaged is the 32 car? Rotter back to the lead. Oh my goodness, nobody wants to be out front here. You can see a little bit of scruff on that left front. Oh, it was the right front, wasn't it? Okay, let me look again. Don't really see anything there. So it was a 5-second gap for Rotter, who spun coming out of turn 9 to give the lead to Heinrich. It was a 5-second gap for Heinrich, who is now pushed off in the chute. And it is now a 0.2 of a second lead directly in the toe with 8 minutes to go. Heinrich and Rotter for the race win at Watkins Glen. Out in the outside lane, he doesn't make that work, but he's got the toe. And he's got the outside lane. On the inside is Rotter to try and defend. Great straight line speed, and he's going to have the pass done before the carousel. Oh, but he sticks his nose back in. What a move by Dennis Rotter. Keeps the lead after it looked like Heinrich was completely ahead. On board with the 32 car. 7 minutes remaining here at what has been a fascinating race at Watkins Glen. Jennifer McDonald is now catching Hayden Fowler. We're going to have to get a shot of that. Here's Hayden now just getting passed by one of the LMP cars. There's Jennifer having another late race push. That gap is less than a second, as Fowler seems to have used up his rubber maybe. He's 4.5 seconds off the lead now. Jens Wolter stretching that gap and falling into the clutches of the Series 1 champion. Meanwhile, up front, Dennis Rotter, who has led all day since exiting turn number 1, has made it as exciting as he can for everybody watching and has got the 32 of Andre Heinrich right on his tail. Using the toe again, but not close enough to get himself in front like he did last lap. Bit of a crossover, protecting the inside on the chute. We saw issues doing that before, but all good for Rotter. Back on board with the German. We're watching that battle in GTE. We'll get to it if anything happens. Jennifer McDonald has now dropped a little more than a second off the back end of the 28. Rotter to the inside, trying to break whatever toe the 32 car might have. Different lines as Heinrich all over it, gets a little loose. He'll have the double toe here. as the 94 of Kevin Hensel down by the inside. Very well played there by Andre. This is where he had his issues pushing through that corner. Honestly, hadn't seen a mistake all day, and to be handed the lead. What an extraordinary series of events, but has given us this in a round. The 32 is spun. He's clipped that grass on the outside of toe. And Andre Heinrich. We'll see how much damage. Here's a replay. Just pushes out. We've seen that a couple of times already. Doesn't hit anything. So no damage other than to track position. And he's coming to the pits. The spin, with the contact on the first lap. Then, of course, he would have had more incident points, probably a 2x when he went off at the chute. That spin has given Andre an 8x, and I think that's going to give Philip Stritter second place. It has given Philip Stritter second place. He's already on the back straightaway. So it goes from bad to worse for Heinrich. He now runs third. Seeley is behind him. Flashing Costa is all of a sudden he's presented with the 32 car 5 seconds in front of him. Just when you think you've seen it all. With 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, Dennis Rotter is back up front. And guess what? With a 5-second lead. But it's not Andre Heinrich anymore. It's Philip Stritter in the 42 car. Keith Rainey is back in the pits, and we're hearing from pit road that he underfueled the car on the splash and go, so they've had to come back down and just get a little top up. That's not going to affect the results. So if you're going to make that mistake, this was a good day to make it. Dennis Rotter, as we've now got a battle, hold on. No time to take your breath. Jennifer McDonald has caught the back of Hayden Fowler now. And so with 2 minutes to go, we've got a battle here for second place in GTE. The LMP battle seems to be over and done with. Jennifer holds to the inside to allow Schwartz through. He gives a little flash saying a little go. Plenty of room given by the 28 of Fowler, and that battle can resume in earnest. One to go next time around for Dennis Rotter. He's just now coming out of turn 9. This is the battle on the racetrack. Seninger and Sonnen are also together. There they are. As Dennis Rotter starts his final lap here at one of the most eventful races we've had in the Night Racing League in 2 seasons on iRacing. Jennifer McDonald, they will get the 1 to go when they come back around this time. They are in front of Rotter. They're entering the carousel. Rotter is behind them. That'll be interesting if he passes them. So we'll watch this. The clock will expire. It says last lap because that's for the race leader. Philip Stritter within 5 seconds. We'll watch that gap a little bit here. This is definitely the battle. You see Rotter just there in the background. Rainey back in the pits again, did I see there? I'm not sure what happened there. But Dennis Rotter does not look like he's going to catch these guys. So it'll be one more lap. These will be the last 2 cars to cross the finish line. But after an incredibly eventful day at Road America and surviving a Turn 1 incident, Dennis Rotter wins in Watkins Glen ahead of Philip Stritter in the 42 car. Jennifer McDonald is... Are you kidding me? Jennifer McDonald passes as the LMP's lead. Back in the tow. Hayden Fowler on the outside is going to retake the position as they head into the carousel. Down on the inside is McDonald. Fowler able to hold her off. Taking to the escape road is Stritter, not wanting to get involved in this battle. That's a fantastic move by him. Good on him. As we said, these 2 cars, the last 2 to cross the line. Heinrich has finished in 3rd place. Paul Seeley will be 4th. Keith Rainey 5th. That's your top 5 in LMP. Up front, it's going to be Jens Wolters. I don't want to pull away from it. There's Wolters out of the turn 9. 7 seconds behind him. Here comes Fowler and McDonald, both struggling to get the power down. A fantastic final lap. Jens Wolters will convert his pole into a win at Watkins Glen. McDonald comes on the inside. Fowler with a great traction off the final turn and will take 2nd place ahead of Jennifer McDonald in 3rd. What a race. Seninger 4th, Sonnen 5th. They have already crossed the line. And here are your results. The official results. Dennis Rotter wins in LMP. Philip Stritter and Andre Heinrich round out the podium. Paul Seeley, a great drive up to 4th place from his 7th place qualifying position. 0 incident points for the Canadian. Keith Rainey, Andreas Schwarz, and Dean Ellico finish up the cars running. Thomas Brommel, a victim of that unfortunate Turn 1 incident, did not finish. He will get 8th place points today. In GTE, what a race it turned out to be at the end. Jens Wolters wins at Watkins Glen. Hayden Fowler and Jennifer McDonald settled the 2nd place battle right at the finish line. Toby Seninger 4th, Mark Sonnen 5th, Kevin Hensel ahead of Steve Groninga. Kevin Cordy comes home in 8th. Chris Costa, Nina DeBur debuts in the top 10 ahead of Chris Thompson. And what that does, Dennis Rotter takes over the points lead here with 65 points, 4 points ahead of Andre Heinrich. Stritter is 20 points back with Paul Seeley in 4th. Thomas Brommel, Andre Schwarz, Keith Rainey, and Dean Ellico. We've yet to see the other cars on that list. The GT Championship does tighten up as Jennifer McDonald has the lead now with 50 points over Jens Wolters, who's made up lots of ground with the race win and has 2nd. Dan Piazza drops to 3rd with his DNS here today. Kevin Hensel, Toby Seninger tied for 4th place at 30 points. Fowler jumps Raschuti into 6th. Kevin Cordy, Steve Groninga, and Mark Sonnen round out the top 10. Well, we hope you enjoyed an incredible race here at Watkins Glen. We'll see you in 1 week's time for our first 2-hour race of the season at Sebring, as everybody will run 2 hours there and then get ready for the 12-hour race the following weekend. Join us then here on YouTube, and thanks for watching the Night Racing League.